Good day, this is Thumbs United. This is episode 6 of the Tomb Raider Let's Play. It's Rise of the Tomb Raider, not the game archive. I was going to say it's the game archive, but it's really not. I'm just doing the voiceover for this Let's Play. So we'll start where we left off from episode 5. So I've been studying more kind of different styles of photography. I'm mainly a landscape photographer, and I want to get back into doing more portraits and event photography. And it's funny because a while ago, I kind of had this. Not really idea, but more of a goal. I was gonna start kind of not just like a portraiture company, but I was gonna like start taking more studio shots and kind of do like glamour photography, but that idea kind of died. But before it died, I started getting all these like studio lights and stuff. And originally, what I was trained on is I used to use strobes, and those are like really powerful lights, and they have the flash versus continuous light, which is more like what you would find in a movie studio, where the light is continuous, but it's really bright, and there's no flash. And so I was planning on doing a lot of like interviews and everything, so I was like, okay, I'm not going to get the strobe. So I got a couple of light stands, and they just take like regular, well, you can get special light bulbs, and I had the special compact fluorescent, but they were like, they were really accurate with the color temperature. And so with color temperature, that's like, if you have light that's like daylight, it's a different color temperature than the light that occurs when you're in shade or when the clouds are. Those are 3 different color temperatures. And so color temperatures are usually like, there's warm light, there's cool light, and another difference is different light bulbs have different color temperatures. So an incandescent light bulb is different than an LED light bulb or an compact fluorescent, which is a curlicue light bulb. Those are different from everything else. And so the photography compact fluorescent lights I had are they're just super accurate to a specific color temperature. They were really bright for what they were. And it's funny because when I use them, they're they're extra long, and they have extra height. So instead of being like 3 or 4 inches, they're like 5 to 8 inches long. So they're considerably longer, and they look like it. But then I got a couple of umbrellas, and there's a story behind that. But so I ordered that from Amazon, and I was surprised at how inexpensive it was. It was like under $60 for 2 light stands and a couple of umbrellas. So I ordered that, and then I never really got around to doing the interviews, but I did use the light stands a lot. I had when I was high school, I was like the head photographer for the yearbook. And so the school had a photographer that would come and do like the class pictures. And and the individual student photos. But there was always someone who, oh my goodness, I died. There was always somebody who, like, either wasn't there for picture day or didn't. I mean, you had to pay for the photographs, and someone didn't want them, and so then I would go around, and it was like my job to find everyone who didn't have the photo taken, and then I took their photo for the class pages and everything. And so then I had a serious setup where I bring in my lights and everything. And so that was a good experience. That was towards senior year. Before, I had like a backdrop and I just used natural lighting, but I was getting into the kind of more studio lighting and artificial lighting, mainly because I wanted to control it all, and I wanted to get all the like photographs to look similar, but to have some consistency. But then with landscape photography, the nice thing about that is you use natural light. And so I've been doing landscape photography for a long time now, and I don't know, I was thinking, if I get back into doing event photography or doing portraiture, I have to, kind of brush up on my lighting techniques and everything. So then I went to watch a couple of videos from other photographers who do model work and glamour and fashion photography. And so funny because I found this one person and I really liked her, and she was like, you don't need the strobes, you don't need the flash, you can go outside and use all natural light. And it's funny because she was with another photographer, and he's like, I always use flash, and he had his the giant portable strobes that run off battery. And it was really interesting because at the end of the video they shared their shots and after they edited them, and I really loved the way that the natural light shots worked. They use no flash, and I mean, you just have to look around and get an eye for your surrounding and know what's good light and what's bad light. You just have to kind of use your environment to find even lighting. I mean, you don't want too many shadows and whatnot. But the funny thing was, the guy was like, look, if you use a flash here, the photo looks great. But if you don't use the flash, it looks like a terrible photo. And the lady responded, the lady photographer, she was just like, yeah, but this is the worst spot for natural light. Why would you ever pick this spot? I thought that was a good point, because and she went on to say this, she said, most people, when they compare natural light shot versus a shot using artificial light, like a flash or strobe or even continuous light bulbs, they always pick the absolute worst spot for natural lighting, and of course the shot with the flash and everything else looks better than the natural light, because they pick the worst spot. And so it's kind of like a duh. I should have known I like natural lighting better with all the photography I do, both macro photography and landscape photography. But it was just it's nice to find somebody who has a style that's similar to yours and opinions that are similar to yours. And it kind of goes into this other article I wrote for Quotations.com about Technolust, and in the article I kind of talked about how a lot of times, especially with photography and video editing, you find yourself thinking, I don't want to start this project until I have this set of equipment, or this would look really good if I had, if I was shooting it in 4K. But I think it's important to just do the projects, even if you only have a HD camera. I mean, you shouldn't be passing up projects just because you're waiting for like the latest and greatest thing. And there were a couple of things like, I mean, it's gonna sound ridiculous, but there are like some projects where it's like I want to wait till the next GoPro comes out, because and you don't even know what the GoPro that's going to come out, what the features are, but it's going to be better than the last. And so it's just like, I'm going to wait until they announce the next one. And then and so like, for example, it's just like, there was this one project I wanted to start, but I used the GoPro 3D system. And so the rumor was that the next GoPro was going to be a 4K GoPro, and so the one that I had was the GoPro 2, and so the GoPro 3 comes out, and it does 2.7K. So I was like, okay, I'm going to wait until the next one comes out. Surely that one will do 4K. And then the joke of it was that the GoPro Hero 3, they didn't release a kit, because it was a different shape than the Hero 2. And so it didn't fit in the 3D system. And I don't even think there was software for it to be compatible with the 3D system. So, everyone who uses the GoPro for 3D, we had to wait until the Hero 3 Plus. And so the Hero 3 Plus comes out, and again, not 4K. It's 2.7K, which is weird, because they're just like, why don't they just make a 3K camera? And so, it has better bit rates than the 3, supposedly. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to get one to test it out, just because I wanted to see how the ProTune works. And ProTune is like it's a less compressed version of video. It's like RAW. You can set it to where it doesn't record the color balance. So you have to, but that means like for every video it films, you have to go and correct the color for the color balance. It records it with a flat color. And the quality is really high. I'm really glad I did, because I got to test out working with resolutions beyond HD. And there were a couple of projects I shot with the Hero 3 Plus. But again, so then it was maybe like the last month. It was 1 month before they announced the Hero 4. And they announced that. So after the GoPro 3 Plus has been out for almost a year, pretty close to a year, they announced the Hero 4 is coming out. And then they announced that there's a 3D system for the Hero 3 Plus. And I was really annoyed. I was like, why did you? Because for the whole duration of the Hero 3 and then the Hero 3 Plus, they just didn't answer the question of whether they're going to support 3D with the GoPro. And so, if I had been waiting for for the 3D system, there were a lot of things I wouldn't be able to film. And so, the article goes on to talk about how you just have to just do the projects. Don't wait for things like don't let the technology dictate what you can do. You just do the best with what you have, and it will all turn out fine. And the other thing that I noticed is, building a portfolio is important, but the more projects you work on, the better you get. Even if you work on a ton of projects you're really not happy with, you learn a lot from each one. And you might have 50 bad projects you complete, but at least 50 ways things can go wrong, and you're better for it. And especially with like all the different cameras, I mean, with each one you really have to understand the pitfalls and the strengths of each camera. And not only the camera, but you have to know a lot about the settings. You know, do I want to shoot at 60 frames per second? Is that going to add anything? And then is it worth it? You know, do you want to sacrifice, 1080p to shoot at 720p with 60? I mean, sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes you want to shoot at 720p because you get a lot more what's called temporal resolution, which is time-based resolution. And sometimes shooting at 60 frames per second is just, nauseating for some projects. But yeah, going back to comparing the photographers, I mean, a lot of the photographs came out very similar. The ones shooting natural light versus the ones shooting with a flash. But it just seemed like there was more definition with the natural light. Like there was more of a range of light and dark. There were more shades and more tone. The flash was kind of overpowering, and the final image was like, it was a higher contrast. The brights were really bright, but they were like overblown, where there wasn't much detail in the brights. And then it was rich in blacks or darks, and so that kind of makes a higher contrast image. But also the darks are really dark and the brights are just overblown. So I didn't really like the flash one, and you have to study from others because you want to know where to invest. And so like flashes are expensive, especially portable ones. So I'm glad I learned it now and not after getting the kit and doing all the tests myself and then being like, it turns out I don't even like using the flash outside in nature. Now, in terms of like doing studio work and things like class portrait, those you need artificial light, mainly because you kind of want to have like continuity between the photographs. They can't all each look different. And a lot of times, even when you're shooting indoors, if you're using like windows and everything, different times of day will make the photograph look different and change the color of the overall photograph. So like if you want a cooler image, they say to take photos early in the morning, that the morning time light is cooler, there's more blues and cooler hue versus shooting in the afternoon where it's more orange and warm light. And that just means like more reds, more yellows, more oranges. And then nobody really recommends shooting in midday. It's because that's when there's a lot of harsh shadows, and it's harsh shadows, and it like darkens people's eyes and everything. But to combat that, if it's a cloudy day, then it's kind of okay, because that's like having a giant softbox where it's much more even light. And then in other news, I'm have a mountain of PS3 games I want to capture. My sister, for her birthday, she asked for a ton of video games, and so my sisters and I and my mom, we all got like 2 each, but the Chamber of Souls. But anyway, and so I mean, there was like a couple of months after her birthday where she was just going game after game after game, and she's like, I'm stuck at this one place, so she'd start playing another game, and then she'd get stuck at that place, then she'd go back to the original one. And I was like, you should just focus on one game, and she's like, no, I'm really stuck. But she got The Last of Us, which I haven't played yet. I've been meaning to play it, it's just I haven't really had time, and it's kind of a production to plug in the PS3 into the way I capture. And then she has Call of Duty Ghost, which is one I've never heard of. I mean, so yeah, I look forward to playing that one, because I'm okay at Call of Duty. I never play multiplayer, but it's semi-interesting. And then she has Battlefield 1, which she said was a terrible game, so I want to see what that's about. And then she has Beyond Two Souls, which some people had issues with, but I want to see it, especially before their next game comes out, Quantic Dreams Detroit. And then another game I got her was the Lego The Force Unleashed. I never played a Lego game, but I've heard people rave about it, so I was like, maybe the Force Unleashed version is good. I don't know. But the next game I'm gonna stream is gonna be Uncharted 2, and then after that it's gonna be Uncharted 3. I have the game recorded already. I just had to do the voiceover, and it's gonna be just like this one, where the original edit was for the game archive, and I'm just gonna do the voiceover for it. And we finally got our internet working. Oh my goodness, it was been a whole production. We didn't have internet for 9 days. Internet or TV. And had really mixed experiences with the customer service. 2 of the customer service agents were really helpful, but there was one that was just not helpful, and essentially told us it's, in addition to the 9 days we didn't have internet, they said, he was like, well, you're probably not going to have internet for another 7 to 14 business days. And I was like, well, can you have somebody else come out? And he was like, nope, there's nothing I can do. You're stuck with it. And I was like, seriously? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, so you can't, like, it was really bad. And I mean, just nothing I said, he essentially didn't listen at all. But so then the customer service agent I got after that, he helped us out. And so what happened was the technician came and saw that there was no signal coming to our house, and he checked the pole, and we were plugged in. The technician before him thought that maybe somebody unplugged us while they installed somebody else. And so what was nice was this technician, he actually put in a new wire for us. He just laid it on top and weaved it in between our neighbor's yard so that it doesn't get cut again. But so that was a nice workaround. And so yeah, and then he said, that they're gonna come back and they're gonna bury it later. But at least this way we have internet. At least we have internet for the 7 to 14 days before they come to bury the cable. And so what it looks like now is one of our neighbors is doing construction around their house. I mean, it's not even major construction. It's just like little things, like they're painting this and other stuff they're planting. And so planting plants. And I guess they cut our cable because the technician was getting no connection from the house to the box, or from the box to the cable. And so that was a little annoying. But we have it fixed now. And then our DVR didn't work, so we asked him, can you exchange it, or what do we do? And he's like, no, just go into the store. So I went into the store, and we exchanged our DVR for a new one. We were supposed to get an upgrade. Not an upgrade, but they came out with a new version, and we got the new version. And it was hilarious because we brought in our old DVR and cable box, and they're like huge. They're pretty much like small computer cases, but like that's still pretty big. And so the new ones he gave us were like tiny. And so then we were like, well, there was another upgrade we can do where we could get like voice activated search and other stuff. And so we did that. We upgraded those boxes, and then it came with like more channels, which we don't really need, but now we get like more movie channels, which is okay. I can start reviewing movies from home now. See a lot more than I would go see in the movie theater. But the big deal was that we got double the internet speed. Before we had 70 megabits. Now we have 150 megabits of download. And I tested it, and the speed test I was taking only went to 50 megabits, and it was like maxed out at 50 megabits. And then, which, it didn't happen when we had the 70 megabits. Before, with the 70, we got around, we were at about 20 to 30 megabits. And so, it's about, so now we get a solid 50 to 70 megabits, and it looks like it's 20 megabits of upload, so that makes me happy. And then we have an older modem, so we have to order a new one because it has like the older connection protocols and whatnot, and so once we get a new one, it's going to be faster. But I already noticed a difference in all this stuff I've been working on. It's just like loading pages. I didn't realize how laggy it kind of was. And now it's funny because I had to be careful. Like before, I would hover over something and click it, and then it would take long enough to load that you could cancel it. Now you can't do that. It loads like instantly. It's like, no, I didn't mean to do that. I accidentally clicked the wrong thing, and it's already loaded the next page. But anyway, so setting up the the TV boxes, that part was difficult. I mean, they try to make it simple, but they say, like enter in your phone number. They want you to enter in the last 4 digits of your account number, phone number. And that's like their verification process that, it's you. And then every time I did, it just wouldn't connect. It would say like, error, we can't authenticate this box. And then it says, press try again. And what kind of, it wouldn't even gonna let you go back to like re-enter the phone number. It's just like you had one option that was to try again, and then you had to unplug it. You couldn't restart the cable box or anything. And so I struggled with one of the TVs, and then I had another TV my mom wanted to set up upstairs, and tried that one. Still didn't work. And then so then on a hunch, I was like, okay, I went and I disconnected the modem for the internet, and then I tried the TVs again, and it worked. And I was like, oh man, this is gonna suck. Are we not gonna be able to like watch TV and do internet at the same time? Like one has to be unplugged and the other one. But no, they both work. I guess the internet modem was just interfering in some way with the authorization protocol or whatnot. But I mean, it works now, and so we got all the channels, and so that part's nice. But we ran into another problem where one of our TVs, our main TV has component cables. It doesn't have HDMI at all. It's an older large screen TV, so we just haven't replaced it. And that was, we were lucky because I had previously purchased an HDMI to component converter, and the converter is okay, but the part that kind of sucks is the device you connect to it has to be able to output to 1080p. And so even so, if it outputs to 1080p, the TV can't recognize it. And what I assumed would happen was I thought the HDMI to component would convert it to 1080i, but it doesn't. So, essentially all your devices have to support 1080i. So I haven't tried connecting the Xbox One to it, but so I'm not sure if the Xbox One outputs to 1080i. It probably does, but I just haven't tried. A lot of apps and consoles don't support 1080i. There's a big problem with YouTube on the PS3, where the PS3 could output to 1080i, but not all the applications could. So YouTube in the early days would only load as standard definition 480p because it couldn't handle 1080i and converting the videos to that. And then our TV can't convert 720p. It can't even accept 720p. And so because it couldn't convert to 1080i and it didn't have the 720p option, it went down to the next quality level, and that was standard definition. But anyway, so the new cable box doesn't have component. I plugged in the converter, and it was kind of difficult to get it to output to 1080i, but eventually it did. Oh, and I finally took that computer test I was worried about. I talked about it in the other episode, but because we didn't have internet, it was a take-home exam. We have 4 exams through the entire class, and essentially there's no quizzes. The exam is, the 4 exams are like 90% of our grade. So if you don't do well on the exam, or even if you miss one, you can fail the class. And so I was like getting nervous because Comcast was supposed to come in the morning on Sunday, and we didn't know if they could fix the problem. And so if they couldn't fix the problem, then I'd have to go to the school library and take the test. What kind of sucks is it's a one-time take test, so once you start the test, you have to finish it. And so if your internet gets disconnected or whatnot, then all the questions you didn't answer automatically count as wrong, and you can't take it again. The teacher said like sometimes she'll let the student retake it, but she usually doesn't. So I was getting worried for that. And then we get the internet working by 10:30, and I was like, oh, I'll wait to take the test later today. But then I was getting sort of kind of like, not antsy, where it's just like I wanted to get it over with so I would have the day free. And then so I took the test that morning, a half hour later, and I was getting worried because like there were some tricky questions, and the whole test thing is kind of funny. I don't think it's really fair, but each test there's 200 questions, and of those 200 questions you have to answer 50 of them. And so the way it works is once you start taking the test, the computer chooses a random 50 questions from that list of 200 questions, and they do it so that no student gets the same test, so you can't cheat, supposedly. But the part that sucks is, everyone's getting quizzed on something different, so I don't think it's really fair. I mean, one person might get a really easy test, and one person might get a really hard test with obscure questions. And so the joke of it was I had 2 questions right at the beginning that were the same question. It was just like, what is it called when the computer does this? And the next question was, what do you call when the computer does that? And it's multiple choice, and all the multiple choice answers were the same. So I was like, I'm really doubling down on this. I hope I got the first one right, because the second one's the same question. Yeah, so I got 90% on the test, so that was nice. One less thing to worry about. So that was Sunday, and today's Monday. But it was funny because last night I was still worried about the test. I was like falling asleep. I was like, oh, I have to take the test, and then I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was like, what was my brain thinking? I don't have to worry about it. Not only did I take the test, I passed the test. I have nothing to worry about. So I'm still getting worried about things, but it's not like it's not like overwhelming. But my brain did try to work it into my dreams. And then I don't know if I told you guys this, but the art test, the art teacher tried to give me a heart attack. Where we're in class, and she's like, "Oh, I graded your midterms And we're like, yes. And then the teacher's like, here's the way it's going to work. I'm going to give you back your midterms and you can resubmit them with new answers. And I was like, oh God, did everybody in the class fail? Or not? Or what's going on? And then she was like, we had a week to return them in. And so I'm already worried that, oh my goodness, I failed the test. I thought I did pretty good on the test, but obviously not. So then she hands back the test, and I did okay. I got 80%, and then so there were a few essay questions I didn't get the full points on, but then I don't know. I just thought it was funny because the essay questions we didn't have any extra paper or anything, so we just had the paper the test was on, and we had there were 3 essay questions per page, and so some of them she was like, oh, you should go into more detail, and I was like, I don't have any room to go into more detail. So then today I re-answered them for classes tomorrow, and I went in, I gave so much detail, but I was just not to be funny, it was just because there was a lot of things I could mention off the top of my head about each piece of art, and so each essay question ended up being either a full page of paper or half a page. So there was no way I could have answered fully on the original test. So I'm glad she let us re-answer. And well, the part that's not so stressful is we get to keep the grade. So if your answers are stupid or whatnot, we don't have to. The grade won't go down, because that would freak me out. And then today, kind of unfortunately, but I mean, this is going to be kind of gross, but today I was going to go cut my toenails, no big deal, as one does. And but I was like, oh, I'm going to work outside first, and put my sock on, and I get this pain instantly in my toe, and I'm like, oh God, what happened? So I ignored it, went to work outside, but it was getting more and more difficult to walk, and it's my pinky toe that was giving me pain, and I was like, I have to check it. So then I stopped working and came inside and looked at my toe, and I had broken my toenail. And I mean, I didn't chip the toenail, I broke the toenail all the way to the cuticle of the toe. It was I broke it almost clean off, and this is the part that kind of sucked. It was the toenail could talk. The toenail, could go 90 degrees up, and it was just because I couldn't pull it out. I've lost toenails before. I've had steel toe boots, and then something happens where I kick something or whatnot, and it cracks your toenail at the source of the nail, and so then your toenail just falls off, and it's easy to pull out. This one couldn't pull off, and so this is gross, but what I ended up doing was I had to cut the toenail all the way to the cuticle, and then I just had to leave it because I couldn't get it out. I tried not quite pulling it off, but I tried wiggling it around, and it was like a loose tooth, when you're a kid and you can't get your tooth out. It's just I know it's hung up on something, some part of the toe. I don't know that part of the anatomy or whatnot, but Like just so that part was gross. And so that was in the morning, and then it's still giving me pain. But I took an ibuprofen, and that helped a lot. Like I could feel it start working, and I was like, thank goodness. So now I have a limp. So I can't wait till that heals. But I think the painful part is just that the toenail hasn't came off yet. I was talking before how I started taking this. It's like a homeopathic medicine. It's like these. It's supposedly for like to help you relax. It kind of does a lot of things where it's like a part antidepressant, but it's mainly for anti-anxiety. But it also helps with stomach issues and like stomach pain and cramps and everything. So I have a lot of food allergies, so a lot of time my stomach's in pain. So I was like, well, I was taking it for the anxiety, but if it doesn't, cure my anxiety, at least hopefully it will work, on stomach pain. And I can't tell you like how much better I feel. Like this is week 2, and I've been taking it. I've been taking the child's dose, which is twice a day. And take it at morning and then at 6 p.m. And I mean, there was just been a lot more improvement than I originally thought. Like I thought, like I've been slightly depressed in the past, and I've been taking stuff for it, like pharmaceutical stuff. And I just wasn't back to 100%, and this really pushed me back, and I feel like I'm 100% better. And I just feel like a lot of other things are fixed that, like I always described it as being like 80% back to normal, but with this I feel like I'm 100% back to normal. Where I used to be an early riser, like I get up extra early, sometimes around 4 a.m., just to play Halo before I go to school. And this was in high school. And then, but for a long time, to be honest, I was oversleeping, but I just felt tired all the time and had no energy. And now I have a lot more energy. Where like before, I had to force myself to do things. It's like even with gaming, it's just, it was like, I don't want to play any games, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, once you start, you'll start having fun. And it was like every time you get to the point where it's just like, you sit down and you have free time, and it's like, well, what are you going to do? And it's like, oh, there's no games I want to play. And then, I'd have to kind of force myself. Like once you start the game and like 5 minutes in, you'll start having fun, and it's just like, oh. And that's kind of the part that sucks about depression is even the things you like, it's like you forget you like them, and you forget how you have fun before. So it's like you have to rediscover it each time. And that was just being partially depressed. There was a time when I was like majorly depressed, and that wouldn't even work. But with this, I feel like 100%. Like I'm finally waking up early in the morning, like I used to. before, like sometimes, like before I took it, I would need like 12 to 13 hours of sleep every day, or else I would just be like super tired. And then so yeah, like I go to bed at 9, and then I'd wake up at 9, and that was like how much sleep I really needed. And so for a while there, like before I had things to do during the day, like work and whatnot, I would go to bed at like 3 in the morning, and then I'd wake up at like 2 or 1, sometimes 3. But when I woke up at 3 in the morning, those were bad. Waking up at 3 in the morning, sounds like a good thing, but it's not, because I mean the day is already over by 3. Because you wake up at 3, then you finally get going by like 4 o'clock in the morning. And then it's the same problem where you start getting into the habit of going to bed even later, where you like start going to bed at like 5 in the morning, and then you're grumpy because you woke up at like 10 in the morning. But I finally feel like I have like a better sleep schedule. And I just don't need as much sleep. It's like I'm okay with 8 hours of sleep. I'm okay with 7 hours of sleep. And then when I do wake up, it's just like I'm excited to do, get things done and get the day started. Because usually what I would think is the second I wake up, it's like, how many hours before I get to go back to sleep? But now it's not just a mood change, but an attitude change as well, which is nice. It just felt like before I had to force myself to be positive. And that's the joke of it, is I used to be like the most positive person ever. But now it just feels like I'm back to normal. Like I'm back to being Mr. Positive. And so that's good. But not only am I like sleeping a healthier amount of time, I'm also falling asleep faster. Or when I get to bed, it's just like I sit down and I'm just like, okay, the day's over, boom, fall asleep. Where before it would take me like an hour, sometimes an hour and a half to fall asleep. It would just me laying in bed. And then like sometimes I give up and I'll like start reading something on my phone. But it used to be really difficult to fall asleep on time. And then heaven forbid, you have to wake up early. Because then what I do is I start counting down the hours. It's like, okay, if I fall asleep, I have 11 hours of sleep. And then of course you can't sleep because you're worrying about falling asleep. And then it's like, if I fall asleep now, I only have 6 hours of sleep. I'm going to be so tired tomorrow. And then you finally fall asleep when you have like 4 hours left. But I don't have that issue anymore. That's nice, because it's just, in general, it's a lot less things to worry about. And that's kind of funny because, it is for anti-anxiety, but it solved a lot of problems I was having. And the joke of it is that this kind of homeopathic remedy, you can get it from Amazon, but you can also get it from places like Plum Market or Whole Foods. They're like these little pellets you take, and they dissolve under your tongue. But from Amazon, a pack of 250 pellets costs like $5.50. It was like really inexpensive. And so now I'm kicking myself because I had taken this before and I know it worked. But I was like, I waited this long and it only cost $5, and I feel like exponentially better. So hopefully it continues to work. Sometimes and this is in general, not with the homeopathic stuff, but a lot of times with anti-anxiety and antidepressants, they stop working after a while, and then you have to increase your dose. but I have no intentions of increasing the dose. And then kind of something I discovered. So without having internet, the wireless router, the Wi-Fi still worked. It just couldn't connect to anything because it had no connection to the outside world. But so it's funny because I just left it on. I didn't turn it off or anything, and so a lot of times I'll read something on my iPad and then I just put it down next to me. Like I'll read in bed and then I just put it down on the set bed and don't recharge it. And so what was kind of nice originally was that like you could set it down for a month and it wouldn't lose its charge. It would lose like maybe 2 or 3%, but if you left it at like 50%, a month later it'd be at like 48%. But I guess the iPad does something where if it doesn't get an internet signal and it's connected to Wi-Fi, it just continuously searches for internet. Because like I will have taken it off its charger, read it a little bit, and then or watched a video and it goes down to like maybe 80% battery, and then I set it down and like the next day, like the next full day, the next night I'll pick it up and it would be at like 10%. I was just like, you haven't been doing anything. So I thought that was kind of funny that I mean, just connected to Wi-Fi and having no internet, it uses more data, I mean more battery life than being connected to Wi-Fi and with internet. And getting like notifications and syncing whatever it syncs. And then the game I'm playing now is I've gone back to Mirror's Edge. Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I kind of stopped playing it. I don't know how far I'm into it. I've been playing it for a while, so I was definitely playing it for 6 hours. And I'm not doing too many of the side missions. I'm doing mainly story ones. But there was just a couple of boss fights they were having that were just really obnoxiously difficult. And most games I play on easy first, and I started on easy with Mirror's Edge, and like this one, they introduce it like these characters of enemy, and this one enemy character, he was just like impossible, and he did this thing where they make it seem like it's they make it seem like you still have control over your character, but he does like this roundhouse kick, and then when you're trying to get back up after he kicks you, he like runs over at you and then knocks you out, and that combination will take you down from full bars of health, and I had like the extra health packs. It'll take you from full health to killing you. And so, but like in between the roundhouse kick, you're button mashing, you're trying to evade him or go around him, and nothing works. And so it just feels like a lie, and it's really frustrating because he essentially does this one attack move and then you die. And then the checkpoint is like, while there's like 50 enemies in the room, so you have to beat all 50 enemies, and then the boss shows up. And then the joke of it wasn't even like at an end mission. It was probably, I mean, I haven't beaten the game, but it was maybe like 40% of the way through, maybe 30. And so I was just like, this is done. If they're gonna keep doing like adding characters like this, they make it like almost impossible and just not fun. I mean, you're really just grinding and button mashing at that point. And so I went back and I played maybe another 4 hours. Never had another encounter like that. I mean, like the character I just described, they show up more often, but it's never in like a locked arena. You can just evade them, or it's easier to take them out than it was when they first introduced that character. So I don't understand what they were thinking with that one level, but it was really obnoxious. And but the story is good, and I'm glad I started playing it again. It's funny because like I own the Arkham Knight, Halo 5, GTA 5, and so a couple of like next gen games, and I feel like graphically that those games they don't look that much better than they're not what I would think a next gen game would be like on the Xbox One. Like I kind of expected better graphics from the Xbox, but and so with Mirror's Edge, I feel like graphically it's a lot better than the other games. The graphics quality kind of dips with the gameplay. I mean, the gameplay is good, but whenever it's like controllable while you're in the open world, the graphics aren't like like groundbreaking. But whenever they do the cutscenes are like really gorgeous, and I mean they're using the same character models and everything, and it looks like it's all done in engine live before you, because it doesn't look like it's faked so much. And like the detail they have in the characters and everything, and like the depth of field and the lens flares just looks really great. And so the cutscenes are really good, but the animations are like kind of weird, and it's not like the facial animation's bad, or like the armature, which is kind of the bone structure of the characters, are acting funny. It's just like the choreography of the scenes is interesting, but it is it's kind of refreshing. I feel like Faith's story is she's not like most protagonists, where she seems really conflicted, and it feels like as you play as her, she's still really finding herself. And it's not like it does seem like there's some kind of, I guess, confident issues where she doesn't know what's right, she doesn't know what she's supposed to do. And it's interesting seeing that in a game, because I feel like most games, the character knows, I have this one objective, I have to do it. But and like some levels of the game, it definitely feels like she doesn't want to go through the mission, or she really doesn't like this character, and you feel it. And so I just feel like she's a much more identifiable character than she's more realistic. But and so kind of on a side note, there are some times when she's not throwing a tantrum, but it's kind of like, oh, maybe you're being a little too over dramatic. But I mean, on the whole, I really enjoy Mirror's Edge. And so I'm really enjoying that. I'm really glad that I went back to it. I bought the disc from Amazon, and it was like it was a discount disc, and I think I got it for under $12. But I mean, it's a really good game, other than that one part that burned me out. And so
I see you, Laura. We'll do whatever we can to support you from here.
Thank you, Sophia. I'll take whatever help I can get.
And kind of on a funny note, I kind of discovered why I don't like digital games so much. I mean, I enjoy Steam mainly because, like, on the PC, I have access to a lot of external hard drives. But for the Xbox One, yeah, you can plug in an external hard drive. But if you want it to use games, you have to format it, and then it can only be used with the Xbox. And so I don't really like that. I don't have an entire hard drive I want to dedicate to the Xbox yet. I mean, I'm going to in the future, but so yeah, and so I only have 500 gigabytes, so I can install like I think right now I have like 6 games installed. But while we had no internet, I was like, oh, I really want to play this one game, but I can't download it, blah, blah, blah. And then I was going through settings now that the internet's back, and I was like, why isn't it showing me I can install this game? I know it's in the cloud. I know I can re-download it. And then I was like, oh no, did they because I got it as part of a bundle. I was like, did they take it back? I've never heard of people taking back games from the bundle, or maybe it was removed from the store or whatnot. But nope. What turned out was that I already had it installed. I thought I had uninstalled it a while ago, but no, it was still installed. And it's funny because I try to pin a lot of games to my homepage on the Xbox One, so I can access them easier. But the part that's weird is that when you uninstall a game, it still keeps the pin of the game on the homepage. So I just assumed that it wasn't installed even though it's pinned to the homepage. But no, it was totally there. That's why I couldn't find it in the place that said these games are ready to install. And then I have some good news there. I kind of told this story in the past that there's a Cordoba in my town, and it's like relatively close to me. But there were a couple of people there that worked there, and they were just like really rude and kind of. It felt like they were angry at you for coming into the Cordova. It was just not a good experience, and so it ended up that we would go to like the next town over and go to that Cordova instead of go to the local one. Because not only were they like angry at you, why did you come in? And it's not like we would come in like close to closing. This was just like regular time. They're just really not happy, and to the point where it was just like I'm vegetarian, and so I don't get any meat. So I would ask them for like extra beans, and they would go and they would scoop out like 3 beans and put it on. I was like, no, more than that, because they assume you're getting meat, and so they don't give you a lot of beans and rice. So anyway, it was just bad experience in general. Anyway, I guess they got a new manager, and he is the nicest guy. I mean, like, you walk into the Cordova, and he's like, hello, welcome to Cordova, blah, 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 and it's just like, completely different experience. And so now we go back happily. So before there was like 2 grumpy people that worked there, and this time we went, they weren't there. So maybe this wasn't their shift or whatnot, but I mean, it's nice having a good person in general be there.
I don't think you'll be able to hit him.
But the 2 other people, like, they weren't just rude. I mean, I think they were just rude in general, because we saw this manager once before, but it was funny because like these 2 people were like really rude to him too. Like, he was working in the back, and then
We have to reset the counterweight. We'll be ready soon.
and he comes out to the front, and he's like, hey, where's this one worker? She's like, I don't know. And she was like, well, did he tell you where he went? And she was like, I don't talk to him. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. And it just turned out that the other guy went to go clean the bathrooms, but it was just like, oh my goodness. She's really passive aggressive.
All right, here goes. Give us time, Laura. We're reloading. We're ready when you are, Laura. Just give us the signal.
Let it fly.
We're launching.
And then I've been watching a little bit more TV. I might have talked about this in another Let's Play, but I really enjoyed this show. It was new this year, called Downward Dog. I thought the voice acting of the dog was really good. And I thought, like, whoever was writing the character of this dog, I feel like they really nailed it, what other dogs think as they do things. And then the other TV show I started watching was Kevin Probably Saves the World. That one's okay. Some parts of it seem really like cheesy, and yeah, I'm not. I mean, I think it's a good show and it's gonna get better, but some of the characters I just felt were like written.
If there's anyone left alive down there, I want Croft dead. That's the last order.
No, I just feel like some of the characters are like they. Well, like the main character, they're like, oh, spoiler alert. I guess he tried to commit suicide, and it's weird because almost right away everyone's like trying to guilt trip him about it, and it's just like I don't really feel like that's what you would do normally. It just feels like people are acting like not in a realistic way to him. But then, I mean, it turns out like this guy is like really a butt. I mean, he is a redeemable character, but it's just like, I mean, you could say that, everyone makes, kind of stupid choices in their life, but kind of the way things play out, and I mean, there's like a character that only he can see in his head because supposedly he's chosen to do like something with the universe. But I just feel like I mean, it seems like it's sometimes trying too hard to be silly, and it's just like, this didn't need to happen, or like this scenario didn't need to play out that way. It kind of feels like they're just trying to make make him seem like a worse character, so that throughout the series he can develop into being a better person. And it's just like nobody, thinks or talks this way, and expects like they're not doing anything wrong. It just feels like he's not self-aware like at all about anything, and that part's annoying. Another show I started watching, also on ABC, is The Good Doctor. I didn't expect to like that one, but the first episode was okay. To the point where I was like, okay, I watched the second one, and I really enjoyed it. It's about this doctor who's like a high functioning person with autism, and it's just really good. It's from the people that created House. And like there are a lot of similarities between House and this, but where House was kind of like I mean, he was a character you root for, but he's not a good person. It's just like with The Good Doctor, Sean Murphy, he's somebody you root for, and hope he does well. And so it's like a feel-good movie. I mean, a feel-good TV show. But it's also, I mean, like, so far I'm like episode 5. And there have been some moments where you get like a little emotional. It's just like, oh, this sucks. And they keep doing flashbacks with the kids, and it's just like, wow, these kids are terrible, But, so it really shows like kind of how hard a life he had. And The Last Jedi, the next Star Wars movie, it hasn't come out yet, but I'm hoping it will be good. So far I haven't really liked any of the Star Wars, the new ones. I really didn't like Force Awakens. I felt like it was just a running simulator, essentially. I mean, the characters just pretty much ran from place to place, and it was all like exposition, but not in a good way, where I felt like I knew the worlds were really fleshed out, and it just kind of looked like normal scenic places that were like obviously filmed, on Earth and whatnot. It didn't feel like a grand universe. And then the other issue I had was that it just, yes, it put you in the world, but it didn't really answer any questions about the character. I don't feel like there was any character development really in Force Awakens with any of the characters. It just, I don't know, I just feel like for the length of the movie, not much happened. And then it was all like tune in for the next one to get some of the answers questioned. And so I'm hoping that they just did it that way because they wanted to reintroduce new people to the universe, and they wanted to keep like original Star Wars fans kind of on their toes and have them guessing. It was just, I would have liked more story content with my movie. So I'm hoping we get that, because I usually, in terms of,
This was never your destiny. Your sister let you believe that.
and so like in terms of trilogies, typically my favorite trilogy movies in trilogies are the second one, and that's just because like they've already introduced you to the world and the universe in the first episode and the first movie in the trilogy, and so a lot of times like they assume you already know everything, and so I just feel like there's more plot points and more entertainment in the second movie, and a lot of times in the third movie it's kind of drawn out and sometimes takes like too long to conclude. Like they should really make like a 2.5 kind of trilogy.
Your men are defeated. Your brother is dead. No, that's what Trinity has fought. Death. And that's all I'll ever bring. Give this up. I gave up everything for this. I have no intention of giving it to Trinity.
What about your father? You're doomed to be mocked by history. How can you let this go when you're so close?
I'm willing to make that sacrifice. I can't let you take it.
Think of the millions suffering and dying. We can save them. We can change the world together.
The cost is too high, Anna. We aren't meant to live forever. Death is a part of life.
That's easy for you to say. You're not the one who's dying.
And then for the Justice League,
This isn't about you.
I don't know how I feel about it.
It's about humanity, about
When I saw Batman vs Superman in theaters, I thought it was okay. I mean, there were parts that I liked, but I didn't think it was bad. But then a couple of months ago, I was like, I'll see it again, and so I went to a discount store and got it on Blu-ray.
This is your chance, Laura. Everything I've done, everything you've done. Another Croft doesn't have to die for this.
but I'm willing to.
And so
Well, I'm not. Please.
and so I thought it was okay, but then when I went back to watch it again, it was just like, maybe this isn't such a good movie. I mean, it felt like there was too much Superman and not enough Batman. And like, it just seemed like there would be more characters going on in this film. Like, I feel like it was pretty much just, it was like not enough Lex Luthor, not enough Spider-Man, and they like teased too many characters, but I think there should have been a lot more, like Wonder Woman, what she was doing there. And I understand they were trying to keep it a mystery and whatnot, like she was the unknown element, but I still think there could have been a better balance, especially since the director directed Watchmen, who had like a billion characters that,
Jacob, hold on.
I mean, they elaborated really well on each one. And so,
For too long already.
You know I destroyed.
In all my years, I've met few as extraordinary as you.
and so I don't know. I guess kind of the part I don't like in terms of the direction of DC is like they used to be dark, but with the Dark Knight,
All I wanted was to make
I mean, with the Dark Knight trilogy, it was very, very, very dark, but it was like realistic. They kind of, you could believe like these events would happen, and more than you could with like a Marvel movie, where they were very, comic book, but almost cartoony, and like in no way, shape, or form could you think that like a Marvel movie is like realistic or I mean, it's just really hard to suspend your disbelief with the Marvel films. And so I feel like DC is kind of going in that way, where like all the characters are not all like the character enemies are like these CGI bad guys, and there's like a billion of them, and it's just like there's no way that
I listened to his last tape 1,000 times.
like if this was like to really happen, that these characters be able to get out of that situation.
What choices he would have
Like with the Dark Knight, it's like I feel like Batman could beat the Joker. I feel like he could beat Bane. But if it was like Batman versus 1,000 Banes or Batman versus 1,000 Jokers, then it's just like I don't believe that could happen. I mean, Batman's good, but they're not that good. So, I mean, I'm hoping it will be good, but I feel like they're kind of losing the style that made like other DC movies good. Thank you. This has been United. The next Let's Play is Uncharted 2. And I'll let the credits roll. And thanks for tuning in.
I will not thirst as I cross the raging sea. Waves are crashing over me. They drag me down, they drag me down. But I will not drown. They'll know my name. After the storms are passing through, they'll know my name. When they've forgotten all about you, they'll know my name. I shall rise, oh well, I shall rise again and again.
You said another Croft doesn't have to die for this. What did you mean by that? You killed my father, didn't you?
Trinity ordered his execution. I couldn't do it.
You're lying!
I loved him.
It's done. Good. What about Croft?